everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a sketchbook spread. This is my sketchbook here, which I've probably mentioned in a few videos previously that I got from Baylee Jae. If you want to check it out, I will put a link in the description. And today I want to do a bit of a sketchbook spread because I just really enjoy doing like full page illustrations in a sketchbook over 2 pages. I just find them very fun to do, and there's no pressure as well because this is basically a sketchbook illustration, so you are going to be doing it for like practice and that kind of thing, so it doesn't always have to be perfect, or at least that's the way I feel, like compared to painting on say a canvas or doing a marker illustration on like fancy paper. So the idea behind the illustration that I wanted to do today is essentially I really felt like I wanted to do almost like a storybook style drawing and you'll actually notice in some like children's storybooks they'll even have like one like illustration that spans like the full 2 pages, and I really felt like I wanted to do something that kind of style, and I thought, what kind of things show up in sort of storybook illustrations, and the first thing that popped into my head was animals and sometimes like nature or gardens or something like that, and just stuff with a really cute aesthetic to it. And I decided to do an illustration of some kittens or young cats actually, and they are going to be frolicking and playing in a field of grass with some wildflowers around, and I just thought that that would be a very cute illustration to make. So I've done a subtle sketch here already, and as you can see it's just some little cats, and I've just outlined roughly a few areas where I want the grass to sort of like sit in almost like little clumps or patches. But once we actually get into rendering all of the grass details, it's going to be less noticeable. This is mainly just an outline for me to know where I want to put shadows and highlights in that grass. Now, as you can see, we have 2 cats here. One of them is asleep and the other one on the other page is sort of looking at the like asleep one, and it's almost got like a cheeky look on its face. And to me, I think that this cheeky looking cat is probably going to pounce out at the sleeping cat and surprise them, because cats do that quite often, and I just felt like it would be a very cute thing to see in a storybook. Other than that, we also have, as you can see at the bottom left hand side of the page, there is a little paw sticking out of a tuft of grass, and I figured that is a cat that is hiding, and it's like sticking its paw out to like swat at a butterfly. And there's also a little tail at the top right hand side, and that's just a cat that's in the sort of distance, and it's playing around, and you'll be able to see its tail sticking up from the grass. Now for the art style, I wanted these cats to look almost slightly wild looking, so their colors and patterns might not exactly look the same as your typical house cat. Of course, they definitely have the tabby markings, but I feel like I wanted to accentuate some details to make them look a little bit more wild. Now, as you can see, I first started out the cat that has its eyes open to have a little bow around its neck, but later on I actually changed that because I realized, I want these cats to look kind of wild, so they're not like pets playing in like someone's like overgrown backyard. They are in just a field of wildflowers and they live in here. And my basic idea behind the story is that these cats have grown up here, they are wild, they're not like dumped pets or anything, and basically they like to just frolic and play in the grass and catch mice and just live out their best little lives, and I just think that that is super cute. So let's talk a bit about how I am drawing these now. I'm starting out with markers. As you saw, I did a little sketch, but it was quite subtle, and then I went straight in with the markers and I outlined some areas for some flowers, and I did like a light pink and then like a light reddish pink as well. And then after this, I went in with the grass, and the grass took so many layers. I just had to keep layering over different greens and then like have shadows and highlights here and there, and then I had to add little bits of texture of like blades of grass, and I had to be very careful not to like put like green over the top of the flowers because I'm using markers in this, and I did a little bit accidentally, but I ended up fixing that later on. And yeah, I just had to layer so many details of grass over the top of each other until I felt like it was looking good. This artwork was definitely a trust the process kind of artwork, because I felt like it was looking nice, but I felt like it was just missing something. And the more I drew, the more I felt like I was sort of getting close. But then I don't know, I felt like it was still missing something towards the end. So I had to just keep going until I ended up, you know, like finishing it properly. So now we're actually going in with some pencils, as you can see, and I'm just outlining a lot of those flowers and adding in some details like shadows and highlights. I'm also adding in some details to that butterfly, as you can see, as well as the blades of grass themselves. And the pencils actually work really well for adding a lot of texture and lines, especially when you like blend so much marker into the page that you feel like you can't just get that crispness anymore. And the pencils really help for getting some nice shadows and highlights. After this, I'm also going into the cats, as you can see here, and I'm treating a lot of that marker work as like an underpainting, and then I'm just going to go over the top with the pencils to do the actual details, so that marker area was mainly just like a base of color that I could work on top of. Now I'm actually adding quite a bit of texture to that fur because I want to accentuate that wild feeling. And I actually had to play around a lot with the details of the cats because I felt like it was starting to get a little bit too dark, and I did want them dark to begin with, but I didn't want them to like lose the details that they had. So I ended up adding in some light yellow and light brown highlights with pencils just to try and bring some of those details back. And then I went in later with some paint pens as well, just to try and add in a bit of highlight. And then I didn't like that, so I had to fix it. But overall, it's starting to look pretty good. Now for the sky, I basically used just one marker for the color. It was light crockery blue, and it probably wasn't the best blue to use for the sky, but honestly, a lot of my markers are running dry a little bit. I really need to restock my marker collection. But I ended up going over that with some pencils to add a little bit more dimension to that. As you can see, it's a subtle gradient, and there you can see the mistake with the paint pens on the cats, but don't worry, it gets fixed up. It looks better later. But yeah, I ended up adding some like almost like a darker, more saturated blue on the left of the sky, and then I actually layered some light blue and white on the right hand side of the sky, while still letting that blue from the marker still show through. So I think it worked out pretty good. And then I went back in to the grass with the paint pens, and I feel like I just wanted to add a little bit of highlights with the opaque paint pens, and then I went over all of it to sort of dry it a little bit with my my heat gun. And after this, it's a lot of rendering because I'm just trying to add in some shadows here and there, deepen some areas of the grass to make it look like it's very thick, and you know, like there's definitely a lot of denseness in there, and then add in some yellow for highlights so that it looks nice and bright. And I felt like it's starting to look really nice, but I feel like it's just missing something. So I decided, you know what, this is a field of wildflowers and we only really have one kind of flower. So I really wanted to sort of mix it up a little bit. So I got out my paint pens and I painted lots of little different flowers all over. And honestly, this is where I feel like the artwork finally got what it was missing. And it's starting to turn out very cute and colorful now. And the little cats are just among those flowers. And I think it turned out very, very cool. And yeah, I'm really loving the way that the different flowers look. And I was a little bit worried that they might not look like they are sort of part of the artwork because I'm using a different medium. But I think I ended up doing it pretty well. And yeah, here's the final results. So anyways, I had so much fun painting or drawing this, and I did plan on it just being a Copic and pencil illustration, but it kind of turned into a bit of a mixed media. But I am very happy with the way that it turned out, and for a sketchbook spread, I think it was pretty good. And it sort of really fits into the theme of a storybook illustration as well. So let me know in the comments below what you think of my illustration. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.